Paddy Pimblett has been making waves with his latest comments on Ilia Topuria, calling him a helmet in a recent interview as the number 12 ranked lightweight contender. Pimblett didn't hold back when discussing his future fights, especially when Topuria's name was mentioned, clearly frustrated. He stated that he's absolutely sick of hearing about Topuria and boldly declared that he would destroy him if they ever stepped inside the octagon. Together, Pimblett's confidence is undeniable, but despite his aggressive stance, he admitted that he wouldn't engage in a hand-and-bang fight with Topuria. Instead, his plan would be to take him down and dominate on the ground. However, many in the MMA community are skeptical of Pimblett's chances against Topuria. While Topuria has been on an absolute tear, dominating and utterly demolishing elite fighters like Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, Pimblett has struggled against less formidable competition. His controversial decision win over Jared Gordon had many questioning his abilities, and even though he secured a submission victory over Bobby Green at UFC 304, there are still doubts about whether he has what it takes to compete with the division's best. That being said, Pimblett has already mapped out his path to a title shot. His vision is clear. First, he wants to take down Michael Chandler at UFC 314. After that, he plans to fight Charles Oliveira, and by 2026 he believes he'll be standing inside the octagon, challenging for the championship. Pimblett's upcoming fight against Chandler is expected to be an absolute banger, and he has no doubt about how it will play out. I can see myself knocking him out. To be honest, Pimblett said with confidence, everyone underestimates me a lot. Chandler is looking at this fight thinking, oh, my teammate beat him, but he lost the decision. A lot of people think I lost that fight, and Chandler is going to use the same game plan as Jared. I hope he does. I hope he comes in thinking I'm the 2022 version of me, but I'm a completely different fighter now. Respect between him and Chandler outside the cage. Pimblett made it clear that once that cage door shuts, it's all business. He wrapped up by doubling down on his stance against Topuria, saying, I'm sick of talking about Ilia. He's an absolute helmet. He wouldn't be where he is in the UFC without jumping on the back of my name. I do want to settle it one day, but let's see if he steps up styles. Make fights, and no one is suited to do what I do to him. Moving on to the next news. Corey Sandhagen has shared his thoughts on the potential rematch between Shah Ali and Merab Vesvi. Although the fight is not yet official, Dana White has hinted that Merab will defend his bantamweight title in a rematch against Ali. Sandhagen believes the only reason the UFC is granting Ali a rematch is because of his massive following. He sees the fight playing out similarly to their first encounter, which Merab won by unanimous decision. However, Sandhagen explained that Ali actually has an advantage. Going into the rematch, Sandhagen is currently scheduled to fight Omar Nurmagomedov on May 3rd, and believes that if he puts on a good performance, he will be fighting for the belt next. In an interview with MMA Junkie, Sandhagen said, I'm not surprised. We all know why Ali has a really big following. That's the reason Umar Nurmagomedov's fight with Merab was much closer than Ali's. If you were going to give a rematch to anyone, you'd probably give it to the guy who was closer. But there's a lot that goes into the sport, and being more famous than others is one of them. Ali has that leverage over everybody, and good on him, he worked really hard to gain that. So I'm not going to hate on him for it, but that's definitely why. Sandhagen added, it's funny because the only significant thing Ali scored in the entire fight was at the very end. A lot of people are talking about that one body kick, but dude, you lost the rest of the fight. The vibe of that fight was that Ali was losing and not in control, but I could definitely see a situation where Ali comes back and does really well. I love underdog stories, and Ali will probably be the underdog. I love rooting for underdogs, so maybe he'll do well, but it's hard for me to imagine the fight going too differently from the first one that said the guy with the puncher's chance always has an advantage if you give them another 25 minutes to figure out how to land that shot. so it's definitely an advantage for Ali going into this fight. Sandhagen also praised Merab, calling him a fine champion, and acknowledging his 13-fight win streak. He concluded by saying Merab is super skilled. You don't just accidentally win 13 fights in a row. He's one of the best in the sport right now. If I fight him, it would be really interesting. I think I can win that fight, could control the space, similarly to how Ali did. But I'm a way better wrestler, both offensively and defensively. I hit harder, and I'm very athletic. I didn't get to show a lot of the new things I've been working on in my last fight because Umar was wrestling the hell out of me, but I think I'd do awesome against Merab. If I go out and beat Umar really well, I don't see a situation where you can argue that I shouldn't be fighting for the belt. Next, Elaine Sterling has recently shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Paddy Pimblett and Dustin Poirier would play out while Pimblett is currently scheduled to face Michael Chandler at UFC 314. There was a time when he had his sights set on Poirier, even calling him out before his matchup with Chandler was finalized. Sterling, a former bantamweight champion, gave an insightful breakdown of the fight, acknowledging Pimblett's strength and grappling, but ultimately favoring Poirier to come out on top. Sterling explained that Pimblett's approach is clear. He wants to capitalize on his grappling advantage, which even Poirier would likely admit exists. However, when it comes to striking, Sterling sees Poirier as the far superior fighter and believes that would be the deciding factor in the matchup. I know what Pimblett is trying to do, Sterling said. He's the superior grappler, and I think everyone would agree with that. Even Dustin, but Dustin is a fighter. If you're looking at matchups and trying to get yourself to the top, you're trying to position yourself with the best opponent that's going to get you closest to the belt. It's still going to be high risk, but which one is the lowest risk in terms of stylistic approach? If Pimblett could get Dustin down or get to his back, it's a bad situation for Dustin. But on the feet, Dustin all day long, Dustin hitting him with the hillbilly shell. Yeah, I think it's a very dangerous matchup. Either way, Sterling went on to say that while Pimblett might have the ability to endure damage, the fight would still heavily favor Poirier if Pimblett can deal with some damage and punishment. It makes it interesting, but overall, because I like Dustin so much, I'm always going to pick him. I'm picking the guys I ride with. I still think Dustin wins that fight some way. Somehow he gets it done, Sterling stated. Beyond the technical breakdown, Sterling also pointed out Pimblett's mindset and intentions. He believes Pimblett isn't just calling out Poirier for the sake of a fight. He wants everything Poirier has worked for. I know what Pimblett is doing. He's giving Dustin a compliment, but at the same time saying, I want everything. You've got everything you've worked for. I'm here to take it. That's what he's trying to do, Sterling explained to cap it off. Sterling expressed admiration for Pimblett's ability to drastically transform his physique and overall performance, calling him an enigma. In the sport, Tom Aspinall has recently stirred up discussions in the MMA community with his strong opinions on the controversial fight between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev. Many fans and analysts were split on the decision, but Aspinall was shocked by the number of people who believed Pereira had won, while he acknowledged Pereira's impressive defense against all 12 of Ankalaev's takedown attempts. He questioned whether Ankalaev was truly committed to taking Pereira down in the first place. In a candid interview, Aspin shared his thoughts, stating, I can't believe people watched that fight and thought Pereira won. It's just wild to me how many uneducated fans are out there. I thought it was an amazing fight. Both guys did well, but I think Ankalaev was just a lot better on the night. That's it. Aspin went on to break down Ankalaev's strategy, suggesting that the Russian light heavyweight wasn't fully invested in shooting for takedowns, but was instead implementing a different type of game plan. I think Ankalaev had him guessing a lot Pereira's level on the ground. I don't know what level he's at, but I think he's still a bit wary of getting taken down. He definitely defended the takedowns well, but with an educated eye watching it. I don't think Ankalaev was really trying to take him down that much. He definitely tried a couple of times, but I'd say only 2 or 3 of them were full blast. The rest of the time he was trying to tire Pereira out with cage grappling, according to Aspinall. Ankalaev executed a nearly flawless strategy that neutralized Pereira's dangerous striking. I think Ankalaev had the perfect game plan. He didn't overcommit, tired Pereira out, and did whatever he wanted. He believes Ankalaev's ability to keep Pereira on the defensive throughout the fight was key to his victory. Despite the loss, Aspinall still sees Pereira as one of the biggest stars in the sport today, highlighting the endless possibilities for the Brazilian knockout artist. Pereira is an absolute megastar. There are fights to be made at middleweight, light heavyweight, or even heavyweight. He could do whatever he wants. As for Aspinall's own career, he remains laser-focused on his goal, securing an undisputed title fight. I just want to fight for an undisputed title. I'm not bothered who it's against with the heavyweight division. In flux, Aspinall's future looks promising, and fans eagerly await his next move. Paddy Pimblett has recently spoken out about Michael Chandler's history of bending the rules inside the octagon, joining a growing conversation about Chandler's controversial tactics. A list of fighters who have criticized Chandler's use of illegal tactics includes Dustin Poirier, who previously accused Chandler of glove-grabbing and fish-hooking, while Justin Gaethje suggested Chandler should start having points deducted for repeated eye pokes. Charles Oliveira has also voiced frustration over what he believed to be illegal strikes to the back of the head during their fight. Pimblett didn't hold back when discussing the issue, making it clear that he believes Chandler is fully aware of his actions and knows exactly what he's doing. In a recent interview, Pimblett stated, "If you're not cheating, you're not trying. That's on the referee." Chandler was throwing hammer fists at the back of Charles Oliveira's head. Charles either needs to move his head or the ref needs to say something. The outspoken lightweight contender went on to emphasize just how blatant Chandler's fouls were in his fight against Oliveira. "I watched that fight the other day, and Chandler fisted him 12 times in the back of the head. He knows what he's doing. If I were Charles, I'd be saying, 'Ref, what are you doing?' That was some bad refereeing." Pimblett also weighed in on Chandler's infamous altercation with Dustin Poirier, where Poirier accused him of fish hooking, an illegal move, where a fighter sticks their fingers into their opponent's mouth to control their head or neck. Pimblett had a strong reaction to this, saying, "I've also seen the Poirier video where Chandler tried to fish hook him to get the choke. If that happens